like a potential surge in assistance from special operations forces, also attack helicopters and artillery and arms supplies to Syrian forces for an upcoming battle over Raqqa, an ISIS stronghold. Well, the Post also writes, while the Americans would not be directly involved in ground combat, the proposal would allow them to work closer to the front line and would delegate more decision-making authority down the military line from Washington. I want to bring in Democratic Congressman John Garamendi, a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Congressman, thank you for your time here. Is this a proposal you would support?
Well, we know that we've been involved in that whole area, both Iraq and Syria, for a long time. We know that we've got to get rid of ISIS. Is this a necessary way to get it done? We need to be careful here because we've got very significant opposing forces. You've got the you have the Kurds who are apparently opposed by Turkey. You've got Turkey and Russia, and you have the Syrian government of Assad. So we need to be very careful, but clearly we need to get ISIS, and this is a way of doing it. I want to see more detail about this. And over all of this is the fact that there is no clear authorization to use military force or a declaration of war in the Syrian situation. So Congress has to watch very closely. We've got to be very much aware, and frankly, we need to be briefed right away by the Pentagon and the White House.
Well, you have this plan that requires easing restrictions on U.S. military activities that were placed by the Obama administration. So could that have a ripple effect here?
Of course. We know we have the President Trump's I think both a tweet and a statement that he's going to wipe ISIS off the face of the earth. All well and good. How that's going to be done, how our military is going to be involved in that is important, but also keep in mind that the soft power, that is the soft power of the United States, is going to be decimated by the current budget that the Trump administration has put out. So all of the work of rebuilding, the work of everything from the State Department to other support that the United States gives to countries around the world will simply be decimated if that budget goes forward. So there's multiple facets to this entire situation, and we need to provide all of the assets of the United States government, from soft power, the State Department, to the military, and use all of these assets wisely for the goal of disposing of ISIS wherever it may be.
Let's delve into the money. You mentioned that with the budgets, and then you've got President Trump who's calling for a $54 billion increase in defense spending, but at the same time, where's that going to come from? The White House floating proposals for larger cuts to other departments, including the State Department. Considering what you've learned through serving in the House Armed Services Committee, do you think that increase in defense spending should be the priority now, given that?
We must always be very wise how we use the American taxpayers' money. Just to throw $54 billion additional dollars at the military makes no sense unless it's being used for a specific purpose to enhance the security of the United States. We don't know where that money would be spent. There's a lot of talk about more ships, more planes, more of this, more of that. But for what purpose? And we also know that on the cybersecurity side, there is an enormous risk. Is the money going to be used for that? We need to hear from the Pentagon as well as from the administration exactly what they intend to do. And keep in mind, do not take that money from the soft power side of it. That is the State Department and the support that we give to governments all around the world. Some of it military, a lot of it humanitarian support. Those are extremely important issues, even for things such as the Peace Corps, which has had a long, long history of being involved in countries providing support, and in many cases, providing elementary and high school education to people that eventually become the leaders of countries around the world.
Congressman, I want to ask you about the news that we woke up to, or at least, you know, still talking about this morning on President Trump's claim that the Obama administration wiretapped Trump Tower. This morning, we have a spokesperson calling for an investigation into the Obama White House for the abuse of power, essentially. Your take?
Well, my take is, what in the world is the President of the United States doing at 3 o'clock in the morning tweeting? I mean, this is a major concern. What is on this man's mind at that hour in the morning, and what else might he be doing?
Tweeting is one thing, but then these series of tweets with the accusations coming in and calling for Congress to look into it, to fold it into their investigation as well.
Well, listen, Congress is a political body. we've got to get away from the politics of this. We have to have an independent outside investigation, bipartisan, made up of people that are beyond the politics of the moment, to look into all of this. We do have facts on the ground. We do know that Russia hacked. We do know that Russia used that information to influence the American presidential campaign.
But how are you taking James Clapper's conversation earlier in saying that there was nothing that he looked into that saw any collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia?
Good. That's another element of information that an independent investigatory body must take into account. We've got to get the politics out of this, because there is a major national security issue basic to our democracy, where Russia engaged in an effort to disrupt the American election. We know that is a fact. Now, what are all these other things? Was there, take Clapper for his word that there was no FISA order and that there was no wiretap. That's another piece of information that an independent investigatory body must take into account. We've got to get the politics out of this. We've got to have the facts, get it outside of Congress. The investigatory committees in Congress are political. By their nature, they're political. And we've seen a lot of politics and a lot of statements back and forth among both Democrats and Republicans. So let's get this on into the hands of an independent investigation that has subpoena power, that can look at all of the classified information, all of the public information, and come to a conclusion. It is critical to the very nature of our democracy that we do this and do it immediately.
Congressman James Garamendi, I thank you for being with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Frances.
Happening now, 52 years after the